is a senator from Murang'a. And Senator, we are discussing what is on the front page of the Standard today and the Daily Nation, Samia versus Suluhu on the front page of the Standard, and Samia eyes history as Tanzania votes, the kind of interest that this has generated on the Kenyan side of the border is what we are questioning. And the first question was, are we meddling? What do you understand this level of interest in elections happening across the border? Looking at the papers from Uganda, they don't seem to realize that there's anything happening in Tanzania.
Thank you, and good morning, Fred. Where I come from, we say that when you come in late, you should get satisfied with the intestines, because otherwise the choice pieces of flesh will have been taken away by those who preceded you. And I believe that Honorable Ote, my friend, has had the best part of the meat in his particular conversation. But allow me to say that, Fred, we have been able to visit as parliamentarians, and I think even in the National Assembly where Honorable Lotte sits. In fact, most of the foreign trips that were made by Parliament last year were to Arusha because of the problems that were there with the resources, and I think now to save on airfare, because Tanzania, actually, you just need to be driven to Tanzania, especially Arusha. And so when we go there as politicians, or when we went there as politicians, we were, of course, trying to, of course, interact with the people. They're not very free in discussing politics, because I think, for me, what came across to me is that Tanzania is generally a suppressed society. That those who are very open will tell you that if you mention the name of Samia Suluhu, you know, you could get somebody actually abducting you. Because what is there in Tanzania, I can tell you, are abductions. And I think that is where President Ruto had borrowed this idea of abductions to silence dissent. But here, of course, it cannot work, because this is no democracy, and the human rights here, of course, cannot be violated at the scale, on the scale that you do that in Tanzania. But then, talking to the average Tanzanian, you also pity them, because for me, they come across as people who are somehow caged into CCM, because I remember one Tanzanian telling me, jamani, sasa sisi hatumpendi Suluhu, lakini sasa yeye ndiye ako na CCM, na CCM unajua ni chama cha baba wa taifa Nyerere, sasa lazima tutamchagua. And then I actually pitied them, that you will elect somebody whom you actually do not think is fit to hold office. But because you are kind of caged in that particular party, CCM, Chama cha Mapinduzi, then you'll go ahead and elect them. But I would say that Tanzania is where we were, democratically speaking, about 30 years ago. You know, when there was, actually more than 30 years ago, before 1991, when we repealed Section 2A to allow for multi-party democracy. You know, where there was a crackdown on, you know, anybody who had a divergent view. And that is what is happening with the arrest of, for example, of Tundu Lissu and other opposition figures. I mean, recently we had actually no less than a former Chief Justice Mutunga and Mother Karua, a very reasonable leader and a respected leader, you know, being deported, supposedly being deported from Tanzania. And so I think Tanzania is a society that has a long way to go before they reach the levels we have reached here, yet, democratically.
In as far as the fight for multi-party democracy, they are not very far behind us in moving from one-party state to multi-party democracy.